English podcast.
From Learn English with Joy. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Learn English with Joy, the podcast that helps you grow your English skills with small steps, real stories, and a lot of encouragement along the way. I'm Emily, and as always, I'm here with my awesome co-host.
Hey there, I'm Chris, and today we're diving into a topic that might just change the way you think about learning English. Because let's face it, we've all been there, right?
Absolutely. You start strong. You download an app, make a study plan, tell yourself, this time I'll stick with it. You try to study for an hour, 2 hours, every day.
But after a few days, or maybe just a few hours, it gets too much. You get busy, tired, or just overwhelmed. And slowly, the plan fades away.
Sound familiar? If it does, you're not alone. But here's the good news. Maybe you don't need to do more. Maybe you just need to do less. Smarter.
What if your English habit didn't have to feel like a mountain to climb?
What if just 2 minutes a day could make a real difference in your English journey?
In today's episode, we'll show you exactly how that's possible. We're talking about tiny actions that lead to real, lasting progress, even if you're busy, tired, or totally unmotivated.
And that brings us to a question we hear all the time. How do I stay motivated to learn English? It's a great question, but it might not be the right one.
Exactly. Because here's the truth. Motivation is unreliable. One day you wake up full of energy, ready to learn 20 new words and watch a whole English video. But the next day, you're tired, or stressed, or just not in the mood. And suddenly, your perfect plan falls apart.
That's why we say, don't depend on motivation. Build systems instead. You see, motivation is a feeling, and feelings change. But habits? Habits are stronger.
Let's compare it to brushing your teeth. Do you always feel super excited to brush your teeth?
Not really. I don't think anyone wakes up thinking, yes, I can't wait to brush.
Exactly. But you still do it. Twice a day, maybe more. Why? Because it's automatic. It's part of your day. You don't need motivation. You just do it.
That's the magic of habits. They don't rely on how you feel. They rely on who you are and what you do consistently. If you can build the habit of practicing just a little English every day, even on days you're not motivated, you're going to make progress. Guaranteed.
And here's something interesting. Studies show that motivation often comes after action, not before. You do a small task, you feel successful, and then your brain says, hey, that felt good. Let's do more.
It's called the motivation loop. Start small, feel progress, feel good, want to continue.
So if you're always waiting for motivation to magically appear before you practice English, you might be waiting forever.
Instead, flip the formula. Don't wait for motivation. Use micro habits to get started. Just 2 minutes. Just one sentence. Just one word.
Think of your learning system like a train. Motivation might get you moving, but habit is what keeps the train on track, even when the weather gets rough.
Oh, I love that metaphor. So here's the big takeaway. Motivation is a spark. Habit is the engine.
So the next time you think, I don't feel like learning today, try this. Do one small thing anyway, just 2 minutes, just enough to keep the engine running.
Because progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from repetition, from showing up, even when it's not exciting.
And once learning English becomes part of your identity, something you just do, you won't need to force yourself anymore. You'll simply be the kind of person who practices English every day. But how do we get there? How do we make sure we actually show up?
That's where the 2-minute rule comes in. The idea is simple. Just start with 2 minutes.
Wait, you mean that's it? Just 2 minutes?
Yep, exactly. You don't need to set aside an hour to study or try to learn 1,000 words at once. You just need to take the first step. The 2-minute rule is about breaking through that initial resistance. Because, as we both know, the hardest part is starting. Once you do, it's easier to keep going.
Right, so it's like the idea of a car. When it's parked, it takes a lot of effort to get it moving. But once it's rolling, it takes less energy to keep going. That's inertia in action, and it applies to language learning too.
Exactly. And once you've started, momentum kicks in. You might open your vocabulary app with the plan to study just 2 words. But once you're in the zone, you'll find yourself learning more words, reading articles, or listening to English content. It's like a snowball effect.
That's a perfect example of how momentum works. It starts small, but the more you feed it, the bigger it gets. And that's why the 2-minute rule is so powerful. It doesn't demand much from you, so it feels frictionless. You're not overwhelming yourself with big expectations.
You're not pressuring yourself to study for an hour or reach some big goal. You're simply making a micro commitment, a promise to yourself to just start. The best part is, even if you don't feel like continuing, those 2 minutes are already a success.
And that's the beauty of it. By showing up, even for 2 minutes, you've already followed through on your commitment. You've built consistency, which, as we've discussed, is the real key to progress. It's not about perfection, it's about keeping that momentum going.
Let me share a story. Last week, I was feeling completely unmotivated after a long day. I thought, I should review some words, but I don't have time for a full study session. So I told myself, I'll just spend 2 minutes on my vocabulary app. Well, 2 minutes turned into 20 minutes. By the end of it, I had reviewed 15 words and I felt so much better.
That's exactly what happens. It's amazing how quickly we can get sucked into something positive once we make that small start. And even if you stop after 2 minutes, you've still built that habit and not wasted the day.
So, can you give yourself just 2 minutes today? Start small, feel the momentum, and watch it build from there.
So, that's our challenge for you today. Just start. No pressure, no huge expectations, just 2 minutes. And, like Emily, you might surprise yourself by how much progress you make. But once you've started, how do you keep the momentum going?
That's where habit stacking comes in. It's a strategy that can make your English practice part of your daily life without extra stress. The idea is simple. Attach your new habit, in this case, learning English, to something you already do naturally every day.
Exactly. Think of it like this. When you already have a routine, it's easier to build a new habit. For example, after you brush your teeth, you could read one English sentence. Or when you're brewing your morning coffee, you can listen to a short podcast.
Right. The key is to anchor your new habit to an existing one. This makes learning English feel effortless because you don't have to create extra time or energy to do it. You're just adding English practice to things you're already doing, so there's no pressure.
Here's how I've made it work. I've been practicing English speaking while washing the dishes. I just start talking aloud about my day, my plans, or something simple in English. I don't overthink it. It's just part of my routine now.
That's such a good example, Chris. And the best part? You don't have to think about it. It's automatic. You don't need to set aside special time to practice speaking or listening. You're already doing something, so why not make it work for you?
Exactly. And what's even better is that when you link a new habit to something you already do, it makes it so much easier to stay consistent. That's the key. Not the big sessions, but the small, consistent actions that pile up over time.
Here's a fun exercise to help you get started with habit stacking. After you brush your teeth, read one sentence in English. While you wait for your computer to load, listen to one short English podcast clip. When you sit down to have lunch, speak aloud for 2 minutes about what you're eating in English.
The idea is to create daily cues, a signal that prompts you to practice. These cues already exist in your life. You don't need to reinvent your schedule. You just need to associate a small English task with something you already do effortlessly.
Exactly. And here's a trick to make it even easier. Keep it simple and quick. You don't have to spend 30 minutes. Just 2 to 5 minutes is enough. Little actions, done regularly, lead to big changes over time.
One of the best things about this strategy is that you won't forget it because it's now part of your routine. No need for fancy reminders or setting complicated goals. Just start stacking.
And to make this work, pick something that's already consistent in your day, like a simple task you do automatically. That way, practicing English becomes just another part of your life, not something you have to plan for or force yourself to do.
But there's one thing we haven't talked about yet, and that's visual tracking. The idea that if you can see your progress, you're more likely to stick with it. This is why I'm such a big fan of tracking my habits.
Oh, I agree. Being able to visually track your progress can make a huge difference. It's motivating in a way that's hard to explain. You get that feeling of achievement when you see your streak grow.
Exactly. When you can see how much effort you've already put in, it gives you a little boost. I've been using a habit tracker app for the past month, and here's the thing. I've managed to keep a streak of 12 days for my English practice. Each day, I mark it off, and I don't want to break that streak. It's become almost like a game to me.
I love that. It's all about seeing that visual motivation. Whether it's a calendar, an app, or even a simple chart, tracking your progress makes the effort feel real. It's like a constant reminder that you're moving forward, no matter how small each step is.
And it's not just about feeling good. There's actual psychological power behind it. When you track something visually, your brain starts to associate it with success. It creates a habit loop. Start, progress, reward. Motivation to continue.
That's right. The more you track, the more accountable you become. You don't want to lose your streak or fall behind. This is why I love using apps like Duolingo, Notion, or even Google Sheets to track my progress. They make it easy to log daily tasks and keep everything in one place.
Yes, apps are amazing for this. Duolingo makes it super simple to track your daily lessons and challenges. If you complete a task, you get points, and if you skip a day, your streak is broken. It's like having a little accountability partner built into the app.
And I love Notion. It's more than just a to-do list. You can create your own habit tracker and track multiple habits, including English learning. It's customizable, so you can set your own goals and track everything from vocabulary practice to listening and speaking.
Another great one is Habitica. It turns your habit tracking into a game. You create tasks, check them off, and earn rewards, just like a video game. The better you track, the more rewards you get. It's a fun way to stay on top of your habits.
It's like gamifying your success. So, the next time you feel like skipping your practice, look at your streak. It might be just the thing that gets you back on track.
So, here's your challenge for today. Pick a habit tracker and start logging your English practice. Whether you use an app or a physical calendar, make sure you can see your progress. Keep it visible and watch how it keeps you motivated.
Tracking progress isn't just about counting the days. It's about celebrating each win, no matter how small. So make it fun, make it visual, and keep going.
But what happens when that motivation disappears? When you're no longer excited to study and your English learning feels like a burden?
Ah, the dreaded motivation slump. We've all been there. When everything feels like a chore and the excitement of learning English fades away. You just don't feel like doing anything, even though you know it's important. So what do you do when you hit that wall?
First things first, let's define what a motivation slump is. It's that moment when your energy dips and you suddenly feel uninterested or uninspired. It's normal. We all experience it from time to time, whether it's learning a language, working on a project, or even with personal goals.
Exactly. But the good news is, you don't need to push yourself through the slump with force. In fact, trying to power through when you're feeling drained might actually make things worse.
So what's the solution? Well, one of the easiest ways to survive a motivation slump is to keep it light. This means cutting down the intensity of your learning. Focus on micro input, short, bite-sized learning sessions that feel easy and fun.
Right. For example, instead of diving into a long study session, you could listen to a 2-minute English podcast or read one short paragraph. This way, you're still engaging with the language, but you're not forcing yourself to commit to a long, exhausting session. The key is to make it easy.
Another tip change the method. Sometimes sticking to the same routine can feel monotonous, and that's when slumps often happen. So try switching things up. Listen to a fun English song, watch a short English movie scene, or even journal about your day in English.
I've personally found that when I get stuck, changing my method makes a big difference. For example, when I was getting tired, I switched to listening to Disney songs in English. It was fun, relaxing, and still gave me a good amount of listening practice. Plus, it lifted my mood.
I love that idea. Music, especially familiar songs, can be a great way to recharge your motivation. It's like rebooting your learning in a fun way, and you don't have to feel guilty about taking breaks. Rest without guilt. It's okay to step away from studying for a moment and come back when you're feeling refreshed.
Exactly. The idea is to reframe your thinking about the slump. Instead of seeing it as a failure or a setback, think of it as a natural part of the process. Take a break, try something new, and then come back to your practice when you're ready. It's all part of the learning journey.
So, to survive a motivation slump, here's what you can do. 1. Keep it light. Don't force long sessions. Start small. 2. Change your method. Listen to songs, read fun articles, or journal. Allow rest without guilt. It's okay to take a break and recharge. 4. Reframe your mindset. Understand that slumps are normal and they don't last forever.
Exactly. And once you've taken a break and felt recharged, the next step is to reflect on what you've learned. Reflection is one of the most powerful tools in any learning process. It helps you make sense of what you've studied and reinforce your learning. Reflection is the process of thinking back on what you've done and figuring out what stuck with you, what didn't, and why. This isn't just about reviewing your notes, it's about actively thinking about how what you learned fits into your life, right? And a simple way to reflect is by using short, focused notes. For example, today I learned the word reinforce. I will use it when I talk about my study habits. That way, you're not just remembering the word, but you're also making it personal and usable.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can jot down a few thoughts in your notebook, or you can use an app like Notion or Evernote to keep your reflection digital. The key is to make it easy and accessible.
Reflecting like this also makes the learning process more personalized. You're thinking about how the word or concept applies to your life, not just memorizing facts or definitions. And that makes it easier to recall when you need it.
And here's the best part. Repetition strengthens retention. The more you reflect on your learning, the more likely you are to remember it long term. This means that even if you're only reviewing for a couple of minutes, you're still giving your brain the chance to solidify the information.
So take a moment every day to reflect. A quick summary of what you've learned, how you can use it, and maybe even a goal for tomorrow. It doesn't take long, but it helps you retain and reinforce what you've worked so hard to learn.
Now that we've covered some of the strategies for building strong English habits, let's take a step back and look at the big picture. It's important to realize that small wins are just as powerful, if not more, than the huge, overwhelming goals.
That's right. When we think about success, we often imagine it as big, dramatic moments. But in reality, it's those small, consistent actions that add up over time. It's better to practice English for 5 minutes every day than to study for 3 hours once a week. Small, regular efforts create lasting results.
And this is where identity-based habits come in. Instead of saying, "I want to learn English," try saying, "I'm the kind of person who learns English every day." This shift in thinking makes learning a part of who you are, not just something you do.
Exactly. It's all about turning your language learning into a lifestyle, not just a goal. The more you think of yourself as someone who practices English daily, the easier it becomes to stick to it, without even thinking about it.
So remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Small steps every single day lead to real progress. And that's the key to sustainable success in your English journey.
Follow through. Definition: Complete something you started. Example, he followed through with daily practice.
Stay on track. Definition: keep going in the right direction. Example: a habit tracker helps me stay on track.
Stick with it. Definition, continue doing something even when it's tough. Example, it's tough, but stick with it.
Slump. Definition: a period of low energy or motivation. Example: I was in a learning slump last week.
Frictionless. Definition, smooth without resistance. Example, a 2-minute habit feels frictionless.
Reinforce. Definition: strengthen something through repetition. Example: repeating phrases helps reinforce them.
Track progress. Definition, record and review how far you've come. Example, I track my progress weekly.
Anchor. Habit. Definition: link a new habit to an already existing routine. Example: I anchor English to my coffee time.
Identity-based habit. Definition, a habit connected to your identity or who you are. Example, I'm someone who learns English daily.
Build momentum. Definition: increase energy or motivation to keep going. Example: one action helped build momentum. So now that we've introduced these new words and phrases, we hope you're feeling more confident about using them in your daily learning. The key is to keep practicing and make these habits part of your routine.
And don't forget, review and reflection are just as important as learning new words. Take a moment to go over what you've learned today and apply these words to your own life.
Exactly. So, which word or phrase stood out to you the most today? Start using it in your conversations and in your daily English practice.
So, here we are, at the end of another episode. And I want to leave you with one simple thought. Progress every day is more important than perfection. It's not about speaking perfectly or knowing every word. It's about showing up, even for just a few minutes each day.
That's right. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you need to be perfect at everything, but the truth is, you don't have to be perfect to make progress. The key is consistency. Small, consistent steps will get you where you want to go.
I've always loved this quote from Maya Angelou. We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated.
I think that's exactly what learning English is all about, right? You might have days when you don't feel like practicing or when things don't seem to stick. But that's okay. It's all part of the process. Just keep going, and you'll see the progress over time.
And don't forget, learning a new language, like anything else, takes time. You won't wake up tomorrow speaking fluently, and that's perfectly fine. The important thing is that you keep going and celebrate the small victories along the way.
So, here's your challenge for today. Speak one sentence in English, even if it's just, I am learning English. Say it out loud. Make it part of your day. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be said.
Yes, that's how we build confidence. So, keep practicing, stay consistent, and know that every little step is moving you forward. We're so proud of you for being here today, and we can't wait to see how much you grow.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep learning, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself.
Take care, everyone. And remember, progress is progress, no matter how small.